Just before we jump right into the story, if you like the video and subscribe, they would be supporting us a lot. Are you ready? Let's get started. It was a cold November morning in Chicago. My mother's casket, covered in white roses and pink carnations, rested in the hearse outside Holy Name Cathedral. At 42 years old, I had never felt so utterly alone. The sky was grey, threatening snow, as if even the weather knew something significant had ended. The funeral mass had been beautiful but heartbreaking. Father Michael spoke about Mom with such warmth that it made me cry even harder. He talked about her generosity, how she always helped the neighbors in our Lincoln Park neighborhood, how she never let anyone go hungry if she could help it. As we walked toward Graceland Cemetery on the north side, I tried to count the beads of my rosary that Mom had given me for my first communion. My fingers trembled so badly I kept losing count. My eyes were swollen from crying for the past 3 days since cancer finally took her. My husband David walked beside me, holding my arm firmly. He knew my legs could give out at any moment. My kids, Emma, 18, and Jake, 15, walked behind with David's brothers. Emma cried silently while Jake tried to be strong, but I knew my son was breaking inside. Everyone was there and more. Cousins I hadn't seen in years, neighbors who'd known Mom since we moved to the neighborhood 30 years ago, ladies from her book club, women from church. Mom was loved by everyone. She always had a smile, advice, a warm meal for anyone who needed it. Her small bakery on Clark Street was famous throughout the area for her legendary deep dish apple pies. When we arrived at the cemetery, the sun began peeking timidly through heavy clouds. There was something strange in the air, a feeling I couldn't explain, as if something important was about to happen. The air smelled of wet earth and fresh flowers. As Father Michael began the final prayers beside the grave we'd bought years ago when Dad died of a heart attack, I noticed an older woman in the crowd. She stood out from everyone else, though I couldn't say exactly why. She looked about 70, maybe older. She was elegant, wearing a simple but clearly expensive black suit. She wore dark sunglasses despite the completely overcast day. In her hands, she held an embroidered white handkerchief she was nervously clutching. The strangest thing was that she wouldn't stop staring at me. Not at the grave, not at the priest, not at anyone else. Only at me. Her gaze was intense, full of something I couldn't decipher. Pain? Longing? Fear? I tried to remember if I knew her from somewhere. Was she an old neighbor from when we were kids? One of Mom's friends from her youth that I didn't remember? Some distant cousin? But no, I was completely sure I'd never seen this woman in my life. Her face wasn't familiar at all, yet there was something about her, something in the way she looked at me, that made me feel uncomfortable and curious at the same time. When Father Michael finished the final prayers and the cemetery workers began lowering the casket with thick ropes, I felt my legs give out completely. My whole body turned to jelly. David held me tighter, almost carrying me. Easy, honey, easy. It's almost over. Take a deep breath, he whispered in my ear, his voice breaking. He was crying too. He had loved Mom Elizabeth dearly. But I couldn't be calm. How could I be? She was my mom. The woman who gave me life, who raised me with so much love and dedication. The one who stayed up when I was sick, sitting by my bed all night with cold cloths on my forehead. The one who took care of me when I had measles, chickenpox, when I fell off my bike and broke my arm. The one who taught me to bake from age 7, who showed me how to make Grandma's secret pie crust, how to make perfect chocolate chip cookies. The one who hugged me when I cried about anything, from a scraped knee to my first heartbreak at 16. The one who was always there for me, in good times and bad, without judging, just loving. And now she was gone forever. I was watching her descend into the cold, dark earth, and I would never see her again. No more Sunday mornings baking together. No more afternoons with tea and cookies while she told me stories from her youth. No more wise advice when I didn't know what to do. No more hugs that smelled of cinnamon and vanilla. No more sweetheart said with that infinite love only a mother can have. People began approaching to offer condolences according to custom. One by one, they hugged me, kissed my cheek, said words meant to comfort but that I barely registered. Everything was like a distant echo, as if I were underwater. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. Your mom was an amazing woman. Elizabeth was like a second mother to me. I'll miss her so much. She's in a better place now, with your dad, resting. May God keep her in His holy glory. She was an angel on earth. She's not suffering anymore, honey. The cancer doesn't hurt her now. It was a blessing to know her. She taught us all so much." I just nodded mechanically without thinking, without really processing what they were saying. My mind was completely blank, as if it had shut down to protect me from unbearable pain. Faces blended before me, hugs felt distant, words arrived distorted. And then, just when I thought I couldn't take any more, she approached. The woman with the dark glasses emerged from the crowd as if she'd been waiting for the precise moment. She walked slowly, very slowly, as if each step cost her superhuman effort. Her hands visibly trembled. When she reached me, she stopped for a moment, took a deep breath as if gathering courage, and slowly removed her dark glasses. Her eyes. My God, her eyes left me frozen. They were practically identical to mine. The same dark brown color, almost black. The same almond shape. The same long, curved lashes. The same small mole on the left eyelid. It was like looking at myself in a mirror of the future. I stood completely paralyzed, unable to move or speak. "Sarah Mitchell," she said in a trembling voice, broken with emotion. She pronounced my full name as if it were a sacred prayer. "Yes," I responded, confused, feeling a growing knot in my stomach. "Do I know you? I'm sorry, but I don't remember." She looked around nervously, as if checking that no one was paying too much attention to our conversation. Most people were still giving condolences to my uncles and cousins. My younger brother was talking with childhood friends. No one was watching us at that moment. The woman moved closer to me, so close I could feel her breath. It smelled of mint. Her perfume was soft, delicate, with notes of roses and jasmine. A perfume that somehow strangely seemed familiar, though I didn't know from where. "Your mother," she whispered quietly, almost inaudible, looking directly into my eyes. "Your mother is here now, Sarah." My heart began beating faster, harder. I could feel it pounding against my ribs. What was this woman saying? Was she some kind of crazy person? One of those people who claim to see spirits and talk to the dead? Why was she bothering me at the worst moment of my life? With all due respect, I said, trying to maintain composure and be polite despite my pain and confusion. My mother was just buried. We literally just. But she gently shook her head. Her eyes filled with tears that began rolling down her wrinkled cheeks. She raised her right hand, trembling, full of prominent veins and age spots, and began slowly pointing around the cemetery. She pointed at the people gathered there. She pointed at nearby graves. She pointed at the gray sky. And finally, her trembling hand pointed to her own chest. "Your mother is here, Sarah," she repeated more firmly this time, though her voice remained broken. "I am your mother, my child." The entire world stopped in that instant. The sounds of the cemetery disappeared completely. The voices of people consoling each other, the distant singing of birds in the trees, the soft wind moving the leaves, the distant noise of city traffic. Everything vanished as if someone had pressed the universe's mute button. Only she and I remained, staring at each other, suspended in an impossible moment. What are you saying?" I finally managed to articulate, though my voice sounded strange, distant, as if it weren't mine. "I don't understand. Who are you? Why are you saying that?" Tears ran freely down her wrinkled face, marked by time and what appeared to be years of accumulated sadness. Her makeup was starting to run slightly. "Forgive me, my child. Forgive me for everything that happened. Forgive me for these 42 years of absence," she said between sobs. "But your mom Elizabeth made me promise something before she died. 3 weeks ago, when I visited her at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, when we knew she didn't have much time left. She grabbed my hand with all her remaining strength and made me swear on the Bible that when she passed, I would come find you. To tell you the whole truth. To confess everything." "What truth?" I asked, feeling my legs trembling violently. "What are you talking about? What do you have to do with my mom? I don't know you. I've never seen you in my life. What secret? What?" David approached quickly, alarmed by my tone of voice and how I was swaying. "Sarah? Honey, everything okay? What's going on?" he asked, looking alternately between the stranger and me. "Who is this woman? Do you know her?" The woman then extended to me a yellow envelope, clearly old, with folded and time-stained edges. The paper was wrinkled as if it had been stored and taken out many times over the years. "This is from Elizabeth, from your mom Elizabeth," she said in a firm voice despite the tears. "She gave it to me exactly 3 weeks ago, on October 12th, when I visited her at the hospital. It was 2 days before she entered the coma she never woke from. We were alone in her room. She took my hands, looked at me with those eyes that were always so kind, and told me exactly, 'Rose, when I leave this world, I want you to give this to Sarah. And I want you to tell her everything. Absolutely everything. I can't continue with this lie anymore. I don't have the strength to carry this weight. My girl deserves to know the complete truth about her life, about who she really is, where she comes from.'" I took the envelope with hands that trembled so much I almost dropped it. It was sealed with red wax, something Mom only did for very important things. It had my name written in Mom's unmistakable handwriting, that round, clear handwriting I knew so well. It said, "For Sarah Elizabeth Mitchell, my soul's daughter. Read this when Rose Marie Henderson comes to find you at the cemetery." I don't understand any of this," I whispered, feeling the world spinning around me. "What is all this? What's happening here?" "Read it, please," the woman named Rose pleaded. "Read it calmly. Take your time. And then, only if you want, if your heart permits it, I'll tell you my part of the story. I'll tell you why I had to leave you when you were just a newborn baby. I'll tell you how Elizabeth saved you, how she gave you the life I couldn't give you. And I'll tell you something that may be the most important thing, how I've been close to you your whole life, watching you grow from the shadows, loving you in silence, though you never knew it, though you could never really see me." David carefully led me to a stone bench under an old, leafy weeping willow, away from the crowd still saying goodbye to Mom. My legs wouldn't respond. Emma and Jake came running when they saw us moving away, their faces full of concern. "Mom? What's wrong? Are you okay?" Emma asked, taking my free hand. "You're really pale. Should I get you water?" "Who was that lady?" Jake asked, looking toward where Rose still stood, waiting at a respectful distance. "Give me a moment, my loves," I said in a hoarse voice, almost breathless. "Just give me a moment, please. I need to read something Grandma left." Rose stood under another tree about 30 feet away, waiting patiently, respecting my space. Her posture was that of someone who has waited a long time and can wait a little longer. She looked hurt but also determined. There was something of relief in her face, as if she could finally let out something she'd kept for too long. I opened the envelope with clumsy fingers. Inside were several sheets of paper, seemed to be 6 or 7 pages, all handwritten in Mom's handwriting. That handwriting I knew so well, that I'd seen my whole life. The same handwriting from the recipe cards she left me and that I kept in a special box. The same handwriting from the loving notes she put in my lunchbox when I went to elementary school. The same handwriting from the letters she wrote me when I went to study business at Northwestern for 4 years. The same handwriting from the last birthday card she gave me just 2 months ago, when I turned 42. I began reading as tears fell freely onto the paper. My dearest Sarah, light of my life ***, if you're reading this, it's because I'm no longer with you in this earthly world. And it's because Rose finally came to find you, just as I made her promise and swear 3 weeks ago. I know this must be a terrible shock for you. I know you're probably confused, scared, maybe even angry. And you have every right to feel that way. ***, my heart's daughter, forgive me for what I'm about to tell you now. Forgive me for keeping this enormous secret for 42 complete years. Forgive me for every lie, every omission, every moment when you could have asked me and I didn't tell you the truth. We went to doctors at Cook County Hospital, at Northwestern. We even saved up and went to see expensive private specialists. We tried treatments, medicines, prayed in every church in the city. I made promises to the Virgin Mary, to St. Jude, to all the saints. ***, I cried every night in silence so your dad wouldn't hear me, though I know he also cried in secret. I felt broken, defective, as if I weren't a complete woman. Back then, 40 years ago, women who couldn't have children were seen as cursed or punished by God. The neighbors whispered. My own mother told me that maybe I had done something bad and God was punishing me. The pain was unbearable. ***, Rose Marie Henderson was my second cousin on my father's side. She was just a girl when all this happened, only 17 years old. She lived in a small town in Indiana called Bremen. She was the youngest of 7 children, from a very religious, very traditional, very strict family. ***, Rose had fallen deeply in love with a boy from the neighboring town. His name was Frank. He was 20, worked construction. He was handsome, said nice things to her, promised her the moon and stars. He swore eternal love. Rose was innocent, a dreamer, believed every word. She thought they would marry, have a family together, live happily ever after like in the movies. ***, but when Rose got pregnant and told Frank, all full of hope, thinking he would be happy, the boy simply disappeared. He left town overnight without telling anyone. He never came back. He didn't even have the courage to face her. Later we found out he already had a wife and kids in another state. Rose had been nothing but a fling for him. Entertainment. ***, Rose's father, Ernest, was an old-school man. Very strict, very hard, obsessed with what people would say and family honor. When he found out about the pregnancy, he beat poor Rose terribly. He locked her in her room for days without proper food. He yelled at her that she was a disgrace to the family, that she had dishonored the Henderson name, that she was trash. He threatened to throw her out on the street without a penny, to let her starve. Rose's mother, Martha, cried but didn't dare contradict her husband. Back then women blindly obeyed their husbands. Rose was desperate, terrified, not knowing what to do. She was only 17, hadn't finished high school, had no job, no money, nowhere to go. The baby's father had abandoned her. Her own family rejected her. She was completely alone in the world. One night in January 1984, Rose arrived at our house in Lincoln Park. It was about 11 at night. She arrived soaked because it was pouring rain. She knocked on the door desperately. When we opened, she collapsed in your dad Robert's arms, crying like I'd never seen anyone cry. Your birth certificate says you were born from my womb. That I'm your biological mother. Technically it's a false document, but for me and your dad you were always our true daughter. Rose Marie kept her promise to the letter for 42 years. Sarah. She never interfered, never caused problems, never claimed anything. But she was close. She was always close, more than you could imagine. Now let me tell you something that will surprise you and maybe even scare you a bit. Do you remember the nice lady who sold flowers outside your Alcott Elementary School in Lincoln Park? That lady who was always there from when you started first grade until you graduated sixth. The one who always gave you a white carnation when you left school. The one who told you what a beautiful girl. May God bless you. That was Rose, my child. She stood there every day just to see you leave school, to make sure you were okay. Do you remember Aunt Rosie, who worked at Manny's Deli on the corner of our street, that deli where we went to buy groceries almost daily? The one who was always so sweet to you, who gave you extra candy, who gave you free lollipops without me knowing, who let you pick whatever gum flavor you wanted. That was also Rose. Manny was her first cousin and gave her the job there just so she could be close to you. Do you remember when you got very sick with pneumonia at 12 and we had to admit you to Children's Memorial Hospital for almost 3 weeks? Do you remember that very kind volunteer nurse who cared for you at night, who read you stories when you couldn't sleep, who sang you songs to calm your cough, who brought you colored jello and told you everything would be okay? That was Rose, my love. She worked at the hospital in the cleaning department, but asked for extra night shifts just to be near your room. And something we never knew until years later, she paid half the hospital bill out of her own pocket. The hospital told us an anonymous benefactor had covered part of the expenses, but it was Rose. She worked double shifts for months to gather that money. And all those anonymous gifts you received every birthday and Christmas? Gifts that arrived wrapped in pretty paper, no card, no sender, left at the front door. The Barbie doll of your dreams when you turned 7, exactly the one you'd seen in the Marshall Field's window and wanted so badly but was too expensive and we couldn't buy. The professional roller skates when you turned 10. The purple bike with a basket for your 15th birthday. The money for your prom dress. The computer for when you started college. The money for the down payment on your first car. Everything, absolutely everything was Rose. She saved every penny she could, lived on the bare minimum, deprived herself of food, new clothes, any luxury, just to buy you those gifts that made you smile. Do you remember your wedding to David 19 years ago at St. Vincent's Church? Do you remember that elegant lady who came alone, dressed in navy blue, who sat way in the back in the last pew? The one who cried so much during the entire ceremony, who covered her face with a white handkerchief. The one who ran out before the reception without talking to anyone, without even approaching to congratulate you. We said she was a distant family acquaintance who had to leave early. It was Rose, my love. She was there watching her daughter get married, seeing one of the most important days of your life from afar, crying with happiness and pain at the same time. She later told me it was the most beautiful and saddest day of her life. She saw you so beautiful in that white dress, so happy holding David's hand, and her heart broke in two because she couldn't hug you, couldn't tell you how much she loved you, couldn't dance with you as mother and daughter. When Emma and Jake were born, Rose was at Northwestern Hospital. She pretended to be a Red Cross volunteer helping new mothers. She held them when they were newborn babies, softly kissed their little heads, whispered blessings and prayers to them. She's the grandmother they never officially knew, but who was always there, watching them grow, sending them anonymous gifts on their birthdays, making sure they were okay. Every achievement of yours, every important moment of your life, Rose lived it from the shadows like a loving ghost. Your middle school graduation. Your high school graduation with honors. Your college graduation when they gave you your business degree. That day I was so proud. Your first day of work at the accounting firm. The opening of your own consulting business 5 years ago in River North. That dream you fulfilled with so much effort. Everything. Absolutely everything. She was there at every event, watching you shine, proud of the incredible woman you became, crying with happiness for your triumphs and sadness for not being able to celebrate them with you openly. She loved you, my daughter. In her way, from the distance we imposed on her. But she loved you with all her heart during every second of these 42 years. She never married. She never had more children. She dedicated her entire life to working and observing you grow from afar. She loved you as only a mother can love. And I also loved you, Sarah. With every fiber of my being, with every beat of my heart, with every breath of my life. You were the daughter I so begged God for, the light of my existence, my greatest blessing, the greatest gift life could give me. Every moment with you was a miracle for me. Watching you take your first steps, hearing your first word, healing your scraped knees, teaching you to read, accompanying you on your first date, watching you become the wonderful woman you are today. All of that was my greatest pride and my greatest happiness. Now that I'm leaving and will soon be with your dad Robert in heaven, I can't take this truth to the grave. It wouldn't be fair to you or to Rose. Secrets weigh too much, my love. And this secret has weighed on my heart for 42 years like an enormous stone. The time has come for you to know the complete truth about your life, about who you are, where you come from. Rose is your biological mother, Sarah. She gave you life, carried you in her womb for 9 months, suffered labor pains to bring you into the world. But I am also your mother. The mother who raised you from day one, who saw you take your first steps, who healed all your scraped knees, who taught you to pray, who stayed up countless nights caring for you when you had a fever, who accompanied you to your first communion dressed in white like a little princess, who cried with you when they broke your heart for the first time, who hugged you at your wedding. We are both your mothers, my love. In different ways, under different circumstances, but we both love you more than our own lives. We both gave everything we had so you could be happy and have a good life. Please, my heart's daughter, don't judge Rose harshly. She was just a scared 17-year-old girl who made the most difficult and bravest decision of her life to give you a chance to have a loving family, a safe home, a stable life. She sacrificed her own happiness for yours. That is true love. And don't judge me either for keeping it quiet for so long. I did it to protect you, so you would grow up happy and secure without doubts or confusion about your identity. I wanted you to have a normal childhood, to not feel you were different or adopted. And I hope I succeeded. Give Rose a chance, my child. Get to know her. Talk to her. Listen to her complete story from her own lips. She has waited 42 years to be able to hug you as a mother, to be able to tell you how much she loves you, to be able to explain why she made the decision she made. She has been deprived of the pleasure of watching you grow up close, of hearing you call her mom, of being an official part of your life. She has lived a hell of pain and longing all this time. I will always be your mom, Elizabeth. That will never change. I will be in your heart forever. I will be in every recipe you cook, in every prayer you say, in every hug you give your children. My love for you is eternal and will never die. But Rose is also your mother. Your blood mother, your biological mother. And she deserves the chance to have even a small piece of your life before it's too late. She's also aging. She's 71 years old. We don't know how much time she has left in this world. This is not a betrayal of my memory, my love. It's a gift I'm giving you. The gift of knowing your complete history, of knowing the woman who gave you life, of having 2 mothers who love you infinitely instead of one. I love you with all my heart and soul, Sarah Elizabeth Mitchell. You were and always will be the brightest light of my life. I felt her thin, fragile, trembling body in my arms as she sobbed against my shoulder. You have nothing to be forgiven for, I whispered in her ear. Nothing. You saved me. You gave Mom Elizabeth life too. You gave all of us the chance to be a family. Thank you. Thank you for loving me enough to let me go. Rose clung to me as if I would disappear if she let go. Her hands gripped my back desperately. She cried like she had probably wanted to cry for 42 years. Cried for all the lost moments she could never recover. For all the hugs she couldn't give. For all the nights she prayed for me from a distance. When we finally separated, both of us were completely soaked in tears. I wiped my face and looked at her truly for the first time. Not as a stranger, but as my mother. Because that's exactly what she was. I have so many questions, I said hoarsely. And I have 42 years of stories to tell you, Rose responded, smiling for the first time through the tears. All the time you need. I've waited 42 years. I can wait as long as it takes. David approached with Emma and Jake. My children looked at us with wide eyes, trying to process what was happening. Mom, who is she? Jake asked in a small voice. I looked at Rose, then at my children. I took a deep breath. She's my other mom, I said, and saying it out loud for the first time made it feel real. She's my biological mother. There, exactly where she said, behind the old shoe boxes on the top left shelf, I found the blue metal box that said Danish cookies. With trembling hands, I brought down the box. We all sat on Mom's bed and I opened it slowly. What was inside was an invaluable treasure. Photos of Rose pregnant, very young, almost a child. Photos of the day I was born, of Rose holding me for the first time with an expression of absolute love mixed with heartbreaking pain. Photos of Mom Elizabeth holding me, radiant with happiness. There were letters. Stacks of letters. Letters Rose had written to Mom over 4 decades full of questions. How is my girl? Did her teeth come in yet? Is she walking? During the following weeks, Rose and I spent countless hours together. I had so much to learn about her, about my history, about where I really came from. We went to restaurants to eat and talk for hours. She told me about her difficult childhood in Indiana, about her abusive father, about her submissive mother, about the boy who got her pregnant and abandoned her, about the terrible fear she felt when she was pregnant with me, not knowing what to do, having no one. She told me that after giving me to Mom Elizabeth, she moved alone to Chicago. She worked horrible jobs, cleaning houses, washing other people's clothes, working in factories, waiting tables. She lived in miserable rooms, sometimes without hot water, sometimes sharing a bathroom with 10 people. But every penny she saved was for me. For my anonymous gifts. To make sure I had what I needed. She told me she had several suitors over the years. Good men who wanted to marry her. But she always rejected them. I couldn't, she explained with tears in her eyes. I couldn't give my heart to another man when I'd already given it to you completely. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw you. Every time I thought about forming a family, I could only think of the family I had lost. You were my only daughter, Sarah. The only one I would ever have. And although I couldn't be your mother officially, in my heart I always was. There was no room for anyone else. Those words broke my soul. This woman had sacrificed absolutely everything for me. Her youth, her chance to have her own family, her happiness, her entire life. Everything. We also went together to Indiana, to the town of Bremen where she was born. She showed me the house where she grew up, a humble house with aluminum siding. She introduced me to some of her siblings who still lived there. They received her coldly at first, still carrying the stigma from 42 years ago. But when I explained who I was, when I told them the whole story, some cried and asked Rose for forgiveness for abandoning her when she needed them most. We visited her parents' grave. Ernest and Martha had died years ago. Rose knelt before their graves and cried. They never forgave me, she told me. They died ashamed of me. But I don't regret anything. Because thanks to what happened, you existed. And you are the best thing that's ever happened to me, even if it was from a distance. I officially introduced her to my whole family. My aunts, my cousins, my friends. I told them the complete truth. Some were surprised, others already suspected it. But everyone received her with open arms. Rose would never have to hide again. David adopted her as his mother-in-law wholeheartedly. He invited her to dinner every Sunday. Emma and Jake called her Grandma Rose naturally, as if she had always been there. And in a way, she always had been. 1 month after the funeral, on a rainy December afternoon, I went alone to the cemetery to visit Mom Elizabeth's grave. I needed to talk to her, tell her everything that had happened. I knelt before her white marble headstone that read, Elizabeth Mitchell. Loving mother, devoted wife, loyal friend. 1952 to 2026. Rest in peace with your beloved Robert. Hi, Mom, I whispered, placing fresh white roses on her grave. I came to tell you I did what you asked. I met Rose. I let her into my life. And you were right, Mom. She loves me as much as you loved me. Tears began to fall as I spoke to the cold headstone. At first I was so confused, so angry. I felt betrayed. Why didn't you ever tell me the truth? Why did you wait until your death? But now I understand, Mom. I understand everything. You did it to protect me, to give me a happy, normal childhood, out of love. I touched the headstone with my trembling hand. I want you to know something important, Mom Elizabeth. Rose will never replace you. No one could ever replace you. You were my mother in every way that truly matters. You raised me, shaped me, made me the woman I am today. Every value I have, everything good in me, comes from you. From your example, your love, your infinite patience. I took a deep breath, wiping my tears. But Rose is also my mother, Mom. And I don't have to choose between you two anymore. I can love you both. I can honor you both. I have two mothers, and that's not a tragedy. It's a blessing. A strange and complicated blessing, but a blessing nonetheless. Suddenly I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and saw Rose walking toward me with a bouquet of white roses in her hands. She knelt beside me in front of the grave. "Hello, Cousin Elizabeth," Rose said softly. "I came to thank you. Thank you for taking care of our daughter all these years. Thank you for loving her like I couldn't love her. Thank you for being the mother I didn't have the courage to be." She placed the roses next to my flowers. "I know you're probably worried up there," Rose continued. "Worried that I'll confuse Sarah, or hurt her, or try to take your place. But I promise you, cousin, I swear by God, that I'll never do that. I know my place. You were her mom. I'm just the other woman who loves her. And that's enough for me. With that I'm happy." I took Rose's hand and squeezed it tight. She looked at me with tearful eyes and smiled. "You're both my mothers," I said out loud, so Mom Elizabeth could hear me from wherever she was. "And I'm the luckiest daughter in the world because I had the privilege of being loved by two extraordinary women." We stayed there kneeling in the light rain, in front of Mom Elizabeth's grave, crying together. Two mothers sharing the pain of having lost and found the same daughter in different ways. 6 months later, on my 43rd birthday, we had a family party at my house. David made pulled pork. Emma baked a tres leches cake. Jake decorated everything with balloons. And Rose arrived early to help me with the biscuits, something Mom Elizabeth always did. While Rose and I worked together in the kitchen, our hands forming the biscuits with synchronized movements, I realized something beautiful. She had given me genetics, blood, physical traits. But Mom Elizabeth had taught me this: how to bake, how to love, how to be strong, how to be kind. And both things were important. Both things made me who I was. "What are you thinking about, daughter?" Rose asked softly. "I'm thinking I'm very fortunate," I responded, smiling. "I'm thinking I have two incredible mothers. One who raised me with infinite love, and another who loved me with infinite sacrifice. And both made me the woman I am today." Rose stopped kneading her dough and hugged me tight, leaving flour marks on my blouse. I didn't care. "I love you, Sarah," she whispered. "I've loved you from the first second I knew you existed in my womb. And I'll love you until my last breath." "I love you too, Mom Rose," I said, and it was the first time I called her Mom out loud. She froze. Her eyes immediately filled with tears. Did you call me Mom?" "Yes," I said, smiling through my own tears. "Because that's what you are. My mom. One of my two moms. And I feel honored to finally be able to say it." Rose burst into tears and hugged me as if I would disappear. She cried all the tears she had kept for 42 years. She cried with pure happiness. When the family arrived for the party, everyone noticed something different about Rose. She had a new light in her eyes. A peace she'd never had before. For the first time in her life, she didn't have to hide. She didn't have to love in secret. She could openly be what she had always been privately, my mother. During the party, Emma pulled me aside. "Mom, there's something I want to tell you," my daughter said. "When Grandma Elizabeth died, I thought the world was ending. I thought we would never recover from that loss. But then Grandma Rose came, and she showed us that love never really dies. It just transforms. Grandma Elizabeth is still with us in everything she taught us. And now we also have Grandma Rose to love us. It's not a replacement. It's something more. It's like love multiplies instead of divides." Her words touched me deeply. My 18-year-old daughter had more wisdom than many adults. That night, after everyone left, Rose stayed to help me clean. While we washed dishes together, she told me something I'll never forget. "You know, Sarah, when I left you with Elizabeth 42 years ago, I thought my life was over. I thought I would never be happy again. And I was right in a way. I was never completely happy during all these years. There was always a huge emptiness in my heart. But today, at your birthday party, when you called me Mom in front of everyone, when your family treated me like one of you, when your children hugged me and called me Grandma without shame or secrets, today, for the first time in 42 years, I felt complete. I felt that all the pain, all the sacrifice, all the tears, were worth it for this moment. For being able to be here with you, openly, being your mother." "Mom Rose," I said, taking her soapy hands, "I'm so sorry you had to wait so long for this moment. I'm sorry you lost so many years of my life. But I promise you something, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to making up for all that lost time. You're going to be in every important moment from now on. At my children's graduations. At their weddings. When I have grandchildren, you're going to be there holding them. No more shadows. No more secrets. No more pain. Just love. Open and true love." Rose hugged me tightly, her tears mixing with the dishwater. 1 year after Mom Elizabeth's death, the whole family went together to the cemetery for the anniversary. We brought fresh flowers, food that Mom liked, and many stories to tell her. Rose and I knelt in front of her grave, one on each side. "Hi, Mom Elizabeth," I began. "We came to tell you everything's okay. Better than okay, actually. The family is united. The kids are growing up beautiful and good. David got that promotion he wanted so much. And me. I'm at peace. Finally, I'm at peace with my story, with my identity, with everything." Rose spoke next. "Cousin Elizabeth, thank you for your last gift. The gift of truth. The gift of freeing all of us from the weight of that secret. Thank you for trusting that Sarah was strong enough to handle this. You were right. She's incredible. You both raised her wonderfully." Emma placed a new photo on the grave. It was a photo of the whole family together at my birthday. David, me, Emma, Jake, and Rose. All smiling, all happy, all together. "So you can see, Grandma," Emma said, "now we are a bigger family. And you're still part of it. You always will be." As we walked back to the car, I took Rose's hand. She looked at me surprised and smiled. "You know what's the most ironic thing about all this?" I said. "You spent 42 years thinking you weren't my mother, that you had no right to call yourself that. But the truth is you were always my mother. Every time you gave me that white carnation outside school, you were my mother. Every time you gave me extra candy at the deli, you were my mother. Every time you prayed for me from a distance, you were my mother. You didn't need a legal document or a public announcement. The love you felt already made you my mother. Now everyone just knows it." Rose stopped in the middle of the path and hugged me tight. And in that embrace I felt everything. The pain of 42 years of separation, the happiness of finally being together, the love that never died, the hope of a future where there would be no more secrets. 2 mothers, 1 daughter, a love that survived decades of silence and sacrifice. A story of loss and reunion. A story that taught me that true love never dies. It just waits for the right moment to reveal itself. And as we drove back home with my whole family, my husband, my children, and my mother Rose, I knew that Mom Elizabeth was smiling from somewhere, happy that finally we were all at peace. Because in the end, that was all she had ever wanted, for us to be happy. All three of us. Her three women. United by the strongest love that exists in the universe, a mother's love.